Hey now, Metal Mike coming at you. Check the date for the fourth time today. Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. Minnesota. Inner city. So, I thought I'd do a video today. I know that a lot of the times the keywords in my titles are Collector's Corner. And I know I've sometimes touched on my collection, but I wanted to focus a little bit more on it, and especially the vinyl, because I love vinyl. I've been collecting hardcore now for about 15 years, pushing 20, and of course I grew up with it in the 70s and the 1980s. And there was a special time between 1982 and probably 87 is the window that I'm going to just stamp for me. It's when I discovered these magazines from the UK, and they basically focused on hard rock, heavy metal, and Kerrang. So I think I first discovered these in 83. Let's nail it down. Early 84, probably right when Lick It Up came out from Kiss. Bark at the Moon, Ozzy, right in that era, in that window. So in my youth, there was Kerrang, there was Metal Forces, there was an incredible amount, and I've been collecting the old magazines, and I love reading them, and now I'm trying to get an entire collection of Kerrang. So I've been hunting them down one by one on eBay, as well as Metal Forces. And so I'll give you a couple examples. Here's a Kerrang that I just recently picked up, the scorpions on the cover. Now this is number 59. And then I have this Metal Forces that I just picked up. Number 4. This is probably 83, I'm suspecting. Maybe 84. And so these are great. So what I'm finding so amazing is reading the old reviews on the bands that I love. And I had this magazine and this magazine in my teens, 16, 17 years old. So I'm hunting these down, and I am just finding so many unique, off the beaten path bands. Mind you, I already knew of tons because I grew up in that era. But now going back, you know, there were many bands at the time that I would dismiss because if they weren't heavy enough, or if there was just nothing about them that interested me, I would blow them off. That's youth for you. So now I'm able to go back and hunt some of these albums down, read reviews, and I hear about these obscure bands, and so I've been buying them. And you can find, typically I find most of them relatively cheap on eBay. So I wanted to show you some of my magazines first. So this is really a clean issue of number 4, Metal Forces. I just picked this up. I'll show you a couple more. One of my favorite magazines from that era is Kick-Ass Monthly. This is legendary in the metal scene. These are amazing. I've probably got about 10 of these. And look on the back here is when Metallica played First Avenue with Wasp and Armored Saint. That's just a newspaper clipping that I put back there. But I love these. These and the Metal Forces and the Kerrang are some of my favorite. I'll show you, see if I can find real quick a couple other ones on that I buy. This is another classic World Metal Report. I would buy these. This one's really good. This has some great bands in it. Let's see now. Here's the I think this is number 1 World Metal Report. Yeah, and so I had this one as a kid, and I just got this one recently. And so this is number 1, and on the back, this is the very first picture. I'm going to try to zoom in. Blackie Lawless that I had ever seen. If you notice, that's really early in Wasp's career. Look how big that saw blade is. And if you'll look real close, you can see his thighs are all cut up and shit. I mean, that blade is insanely huge. Wild. Another crazy, obscure band. So, I go back, I buy these, you see, and then I read these. I spend my nights just like I did as a teen. You know, it recaptures my youth. It's a great vibe, and it's so crazy. I get these magazines like this one, and I probably haven't even looked at it in how many years it's been. Just way too many. But when you get it back in your hands and you look at it and you turn the pages, it's like you just read it. It's insane. It's such a deja vu. So, That being said, I love to spend my time hunting down these old Kerrang magazines. Especially these real early ones, like I said. I have a #1 right here with AC/DC on it. So that's from 1981. And then it goes from there, jumps all the way to #6, 81. And so these are great because this is the early scenes of metal. This is the new wave of British heavy metal kind of petering out. And just this influx, hopefully that's the right word I'm using, of new bands overwhelming the scene at the time. And in those days there was obviously no effing internet. There was no way to find this stuff. It was these magazines, and it was just going to the record stores. And I will tell you, these great record stores that existed at the time, like Northern Lights, these were, I guess I would say, are independent because they weren't the Music Land big corp ones. They had everything. They had everything. So you could go there, and it was always, the racks were packed. Oh, if I could take the travel machine. So, try to round this up, right, and finish this video and show you some vinyl of some great, somewhat obscure bands. Maybe you've heard of them, and maybe not. So I've got this Stranger. So this is a Florida band, kind of a boogie-woogie Molly Hatchet band. This may be the only album that they released for, what label are they on? Does it even matter? It's a major though, Epic. They're on Epic, so you could find this, kind of a hard rock, like I said, Molly Hatchet, boogie woogie, little heavier though. There's one track on here in particular, Swamp Woman. I mean, if you're gonna listen to it at all, you check it out online and then go buy it on vinyl. It's a must-have. Here's another one. This is a religious band. Barren Cross. This is their first album, Rock for the King. This one can be a little pricey to find. I probably had to pay pretty decently for this, even in this type of condition. But we picked this up at the Christian store. When I say picked up, yep. That's what we did. We picked it up. They're kind of like Maiden. Not kinda. They sound like Maiden. Or like a heavier, if you're familiar with the band Fate's Warning, their first album, Night on the Brocken, it's about that heavy. There's a couple songs on here that are, you know, lovey-dovey and stuff, but they're really great songwriting and really talented musicians. I think it's a sleeper, and it's a must-have for any metal collections. Here's one. I'm sure everyone has maybe heard of these guys, Killer Dwarfs. This is their first album. This is very heavy, and to me, it's the only album I want from them. I don't know what their second album is like, but this one is unique. Really, it's their earliest material. What year is this dated? This is 83 on Roadrunner, and the track Are You Ready? This is a great album. Pick this up. Now you can find most of these albums relatively cheap. You know, they're not like 200, 300 bucks, that kind of rare. Here's one that I recommend. I had this in my youth and tracked it down over 20 years ago at this point. It's the first Black Lace on Mausoleum Records, called Unlaced. I believe they did 2 albums. Got 2 brothers. This guy and this guy. Drummer, lead singer. She's amazing. What's her name again? Marianne. Marianne don't play, let me tell you. This is some really heavy shit. You know? Heavy shit. That's just how we talked in the old days. That means good. This is a sleeper. Find this. Find it. Find it. Now this is one that I found out from reading these magazines. Never even frickin' heard of him. Never seen him, because there's lots of bands that I may have not have listened to, but I had seen them because I would always be going through those racks, or my friends had them. But I read a review of this, Rapid Tears, and it is on a label called Chameleon Records, so they must have put it out themselves. And the year on this is it's 82. So this is heavy metal, and I am telling you, this is really, really freaking good. The songs are mediocre, but suddenly they hit on their masterpiece level. So some of the songs on here are just mind-blowingly good and way ahead of the time. I mean, if you really break it down, they're probably about, in 82, they're about almost, I'd say, 5 years ahead of their time. Pretty crunchy, kind of. This is a good album. So I found out about that through Kerrang, and I bought it because I just read about it, and they really gave them a lot of props. And in those early Kerrangs, this was even making like their top charts, because they would have each magazine came out monthly, and then they would have the guys that did the writers for Kerrang would they had like a chart listing, 1 through 10, top 100, etc. Except it was all metal and hard rock. Import section they had, and so this band made the top 10 a lot. Checked them out. Total thumbs up. It's a keeper. Now something modern, right? That's who I'm wearing right here. I want to say they're from Brazil. There's 4 young ladies, women, and this is death metal. And I don't listen to a lot of new stuff, but they really intrigue me. Their image is pretty cool. The lead singer reminds me of a female Kronos from Venom, and I mean that in a good way. And it's really heavy. They're really good. The drummer is insane, and what I love about the drummer, where is she? Right here. She does tons of cowbell. So they do these insane riffs. It's death metal. I mean, it's an acquired taste, but this is a newer record. When did they release this? Well, I guess it's not that new. It's 2023. This may be their first or second album. This is a good band. I can't pronounce their name because I don't want to say it wrong, but I can spell it for you. Crypta. I mean, I have their shirt even. I think they're cool. I dig their image. The drummer reminds me of like a vampire. She's like Dracula. She's vicious. And they're heavy. And they're really fucking good. Good players, man. I wanted to show you this. This is from my personal collection. I think I just picked this up at a garage sale or maybe even a garbage can at some point. Monster Melodies. This is by a guy named Frankie Stein and his Ghouls. And so this is an original pressing. I know that they're repressing these now. There's different ones on here. There is a Frankenstein one, a Shock, Terror, Fear, but whatever the case, it's kind of like a real, just, I don't even know what to call it, just spooky, fun. It sounds like this music would be in the background at the Munsters, but even better than that, kind of a swing to it, blues. It's just really cool, amazing sound effects and stuff. Oh, it's fucking rad. Find this. Find it. It's so cool. Okay, so it's called Monster Melodies, and it is by, this guy is the one that did it, Frankie Stein, Stein, and it's on Power Records. Now, I would find the original pressings of this myself, because I don't know, new vinyl bums me out. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. This is another band, or a woman that I read about in Kerrang. Her name is Terry Desario, Desario. It's probably the wrong pronunciation. This is on Casablanca, so she was a disco singer, and this year is 1980, and so I read about it in here, in Kerrang magazine. So this is why I read the old Kerrangs. I love it for nostalgia, and I also love it because I can pick up bands and singers, etc. So she's a super talented singer, and this is, I guess, her hard rock album that she attempted. And this is a promotional copy I was able to pick up relatively cheap, and it's really good. If you just listen, if you are into finding obscure, really cool, kind of heavy stuff, it got a lot of thumbs up in Kerrang. I hunted it down, and I dig it. Made my collection. Here's another one. The lead singer from The Runaways. I read about this at the same time I read about this. They used to have an article in these Kerrang magazines called Connoisseurs, and so at the time, even in 82, 83, they would sit there and say, well, here's a sleeper that you can find in the bins. And so these are some of the records that they're mentioning that I'm showing you right now. And so this is Cherry and Marie Curry, Messing with the Boys. This is after she's left the Runaways. And this is on Capitol. And this is kind of a hard rock, poppy rock, but it's good. It's produced really good. And they have an insane cover on here. Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow. They do a Rainbow cover on here, and this is 1980, so that's real quick, because Since You've Been Gone, I think that's, who's the singer on that? I forget his name. Joe Lynn Turner? Anyway, unique, especially if you're just like into trivia and obscure fun shit. I keep using that word obscure, but I think that this falls in that category. Okay, so this is interesting. So these next two bands I found out about because I was reading a review of the heavy metal band Sound Barrier, which is an all African American band from LA that were on a major label and released an album, and it was a review of that and how amazing it was. And the guy was just touching on that in that review. He was like, "There's not many African American black bands doing hard rock, metal, whatever at the time." And he said, except for, and then he mentioned these two bands. And so he mentioned Mother's Finest, and he mentioned Marcus. And so he mentioned Marcus, and he's like, with the token white guy is how they described it. So this Marcus, they have a female singer. This is the album. And this came out, God, this has got to be like 80, 79, 80. I can't spend too much time here because I don't want to eat too much time up trying to find the year, but I think that does help with trying to break this down, but I'm just not seeing anywhere on here. My eyes are too bad. This is really cool, kind of heavy. They break into some parts that are super heavy. Black Magic, I know, is heavy. So they have this female singer. Find this. Find it. Anyway, I picked it up. The guy gave it some props. I think it's amazing. And then he also had mentioned this band. There's no picture of the band on here, but they are called Mother's Finest. And this is called Iron Age. And so I'm able to find these relatively cheap. This is really cool and heavy. And I dig it. I like listening to stuff like that. And just even the production on it, you're just blown away. Here's another band that made it into that countdown. You look at that cover and you're like, oh, hell no. Right? It looks like Little House on the Prairie. Try to get an angle there. But then you flip it over. Hey now. Oh my. But this is kind of a hard rock. Rather Be Rockin' it's called. But this is so effing cool. Rather Be Rockin' by Tantrum. Find it. I'm recommending all these albums, you know. That's actually what I'm doing. I'm going out on a limb. Last one. This is another one that I read about in Kerrang called Angel City. And this came out in, let's see, I think it's 82, 83. It's right there. We're going to go with one of those 2 years, eh? But it's kind of a hard rock punky band, and it's really good. I recommend it. So I wanted to show you those. I wanted to show you my magazines. Everybody, be safe. Another day. Knock on wood. Right? Stay above ground. Peace.